Oh, the city of Sagatuck City Council meeting for Monday, May 8th. If the clerk could please call,
Pledge of allegiance.
oh, we got to do the Pledge of Allegiance first. Sorry, this is new to me. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I'm sitting in for Mayor Dean tonight, so could I have a motion to excuse Mayor Dean from tonight's meeting?
Motion to excuse Mayor Scott Dean from tonight's meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay. And if the clerk could now please call the roll.
Hovland.
Here.
Gardner. Here.
Leo,
Here.
Lewis.
Here.
Muncy.
Here.
Stan.
Here. Okay, so in lieu of Scott not being here tonight, I do have some Mayor Pro Tem comments. I have to put the glasses on for this. It was a busy weekend in Saugatuck, as you know, with tulip time. I think we get a little bit of a bump from tulip time. So I know our businesses, restaurants, everybody was really busy. We had decent weather, strange weather, actually. And then I also want to thank the Coastal Alliance, invited Mayor Dean and myself to welcome a group from the governor's office, from Senator Stabenow's office, the Michigan League of Conservation Voters, and representatives from the Matchie Benash Shewish Band of Potawatomi. How'd I do?
Really good.
So it was really great. It was very educational for me to be a part of that meeting. Also an honor to have people there from the governor's office and Stabenow's office there to listen to the Coastal Alliance. It was very important for them to be there. We got a really nice boat ride. It was a gorgeous day. We went out to the mouth of the river and went through a lot of the things. And I was able to share the resolution that this council passed that we submitted to the Army Corps of Engineers in regards to the proposed marina. So just want to thank the Coastal Alliance for that. It was a really big deal that they were in town listening to some of our concerns. Also, it's not on the agenda, but we did have our first short-term rental task force meeting. And just to let everybody know, the next one is May 18th at 1 o'clock. If anybody would like to attend, it was very well attended. So many people were there and we've got a lot to take on. I won't take up much more time because I know we want to move this meeting along because of the fumes that we're all experiencing. So with that, I want to get to the city manager's comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do apologize about the fumes. City staff has been dealing with them all day, so if I seem a little lightheaded or a little giggly, there's a reason for that. So, but I think everyone's safe. We do have the windows open. The city manager's report is on page 8. Happy to address any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Mr. Manager, just quick, as far as on page 9 with the Cal Lake Sewer and Water Agreement, do we have a timeline of when we have to have that done?
We are working on a timeline with Eagle right now. So there's 2 separate items that the city needs to accomplish. One is a water and sewer agreement with Cal Lake Sewer and Water. The other is an asset management plan. Now that one's a little more serious, and that one we're going to have a shorter timeline on. And I'm thinking it's going to be August by the time that's due. And when, excuse me, when I say asset management plan, the city needs to recognize that they own all the water infrastructure, everything from the water reservoir, the pipes that bring the water to the homes, the wells, the well housing, service lines, and the city needs to recognize that they need to put money aside to replace that infrastructure when the time comes. So we'll be hearing about that a little bit more during budget conversations and a little bit more as we get serious with Eagle. They've made it very clear that this is long overdue and the city needs to move quickly on this.
Any other? Yeah, go ahead, Holly.
Manager, I was very excited to see your AT&T notes. And I'm wondering if you can elaborate at all, or if that is a stay tuned and be excited.
So yeah,
Notice.
yeah, thank you. Two things going on with AT&T right now. The one that you've heard me talk most about is the cellular project that we have going on in the Radar Dome. That one is a little tricky. We're working with the Historical Society and trying to preserve the integrity of an antenna that exists within the dome. And also working on all the permitting and easements and all the fun stuff that comes along with the project of this scale. The other thing through that relationship with AT&T is their government liaisons, and these are the dudes and dudettes that work on with school systems and local government and state government, reached out to them to talk about a potential downtown Wi-Fi project, meaning that the city could own a downtown Wi-Fi platform. And it's they described it as very doable. It's been done in other places around the country. Could be a first in the state of Michigan. And they seem to be very willing to work on this project with the city. And I told these guys that it seems like we have an affinity towards working on complicated projects. But somehow I think we can get this done. So yeah, a lot more to come with this. Stay tuned. AT&T is interested because if people are have Wi-Fi, it will take a lot of data off of their cell towers and free up capacity on their cell towers, which benefits the region. And then also businesses that use systems like Square, where you use your phone, will have a alternate point of sale, because sometimes when they're using cellular technology to operate Square, other technologies, it's just not functioning. So to have an alternate point of sale system would be incredible for businesses. So many benefits with this project. I worked on one was very similar in Wisconsin, so I know it's doable. But it'll take some time and effort.
Exciting. Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
On the Park and Public Works update, I'm seeing that, some of the things here are, have been looked at and are being processed. The airport property, I know we've allowed for $16,000 to go into the, checking out that dirt to make sure it's clean dirt. Have we already started that process yet?
I don't think they started that work yet. I'll have to check into the schedule. I think it was sometime in June.
Yeah,
that they
the-
started.
Okay,
It's not
so it'll be
begun yet.
Sometime in June.
Correct. That's my, yeah,
Okay,
as far as I
thank
can
you.
recall. Yep.
I can get you a copy of their contract. Right.
That was the environmental assessment?
Yes.
That was- okay.
Any other questions? Okay. This is time for any agenda changes. Anybody? Okay, moving along then. Guest speakers tonight. Any guest speakers? Okay. Yeah. Then we will,
At the end.
can I recognize as a guest speaker? Or does it has to be, because we don't have any on the agenda?
What's
We
the
have
topic?
recognized guest speakers during the meeting in the past, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just make
So
sure it's
if
good
you-
with council.
yeah, are you okay with having our
Yeah,
guest
it's
speaker
usually a
tonight?
Vote before, isn't it?
Sure.
Yeah, if you want to add them to the agenda, sorry, it's so
Okay.
complicated, but it's really not. that complicated.
right.
Okay.
What's the topic and then the name and then, yeah, just ask for a quick vote.
Can it?
I'll make the motion to,
I don't know.
We-
I'm asking.
The analysis, I haven't.
Okay,
Oh, got it.
all right. So does anybody want to make a motion to change the agenda for tonight?
I'll make the motion to allow guest speaker Kevin Whiteford to announce his candidacy for his position in Allegan County, or
Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay. That would be a roll call vote,
That's just
a voice vote. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Opposed? All right. Please introduce yourself
you.
to our audience at home.
So I don't know if I'm on Zoom or.
You are on Zoom.
Okay, so my name is Kevin Whiteford. I have announced and I have legally filed the papers for the 38th District State House seat in 2024. So I'm early. I just wanted to, tell people that don't know me already, really I'm about communities. I have been servicing people, businesses in small communities pretty much my entire life since 1986 as a CPA with a master's in tax law and as a financial advisor. So after the race in November of 2022, it was a close race. I kept working with communities and I kept working with the city managers and the city mayors up and down the lakeshore. And I should back up. The 38th district is northern Saugatuck Township all the way to the Indiana border, so New Buffalo. And so it represents Allegan County, Van Buren County, and Berrien County. And so I just wanted to say that I've been working hard, and I worked hard during the campaign, but I also worked hard right after the election and working with the city managers, talking about communities and things like that. My businesses, we're real estate investments. I believe that it is the community that brings Saugatuck together. I mean, everything about small business, which is what I'm all about too, is a community. And so that is what I want to protect. That's what I want to make sure flourishes. I want to make sure you guys have a voice in Lansing. And because of that, that means your small businesses here will have a voice. And so that's what I'm about. And so I just wanted to say I've announced I'm running and I'm going to do whatever I can to help, period. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Mr. Whiteford, thank you so much. All right, that leads us to number 8, the public comment on agenda items only. If anybody in the audience would like to speak, come on up, state your name, where you're from.
Hi, Christine Murphy Pierce from 449 Water Street and 121 Mary Street. I'm on the agenda tonight for my sidewalk picnic tables. I know there's some questions regarding and Ryan we talked today about the curb side of Mary Street and the doors for the cars, that they have enough room. It is going to be tight. So I will move them as much as I can, but I would still like to have those for this summer on Mary Street. And then work with Ryan and you guys going forward so that the zoning and everything is uniform for everybody. And I just also want to say thank you for always listening to me because I know I talk a lot. And also for Ryan, I was a little fresh with him today. So I apologize. I did apologize to him because he's just doing his job. But I guess at some point, when does a complaint just become too many complaints about one person or one business? Let's say business. He had to take time out of his day to come down and measure, and I know that's his job and all of that, but at what point are we going to be like, okay, we get your complaint, thank you very much, and move on? Instead of letting him, I'm sure we're not paying him to go measure parking spots. I'm sure we're paying him to do zoning and getting everything uniformed here. So I feel bad for him in that sense too, because he's got to listen to it all and then he's got to go and measure, or we have to get support so he doesn't have to be doing all of that. So because I feel like it doesn't matter what I would do over there, there's still going to be complaints about everything I do, which I'm totally fine with. I just feel bad for the city that has to constantly deal with the complaints that are always arising. And I know this summer we said we could just do normally what we've always done before COVID. And I'm so open to making things more uniform next, so it's all zoned right and everyone has the right approval. Because there is, me and Ryan talked about, like, I have a license for an awning that's over the city property that I pay for. I have a license for my sidewalk tables and I have a license for my outdoor area. I love all those licenses, by the way. I will pay them and I love them and they make my business. So I'm not complaining about the license. I'm complaining that all 3 of those, none of them go together. So it's like, okay, you can do this one, but you can't do this one. But then so I'm all for making his job easier. And your guys' job easier too. So I just hope that I can get my sidewalks for this year, not the outdoor patio, the sidewalks. So 3 different things. So, and I just want to say thank you always for listening to me. So thanks.
Thanks, Christine. That was good. That was 3 minutes.
Good.
Anybody else in the Anybody else in the audience? No takers in the audience. Anybody on Zoom tonight that would like to make a comment on agenda items only? Doesn't look like we have anything. Okay. So we will move along to number 9, the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the regular city council meeting minutes from April 24th?
I'll make a motion to approve the regular city council meeting minutes of April 24th, 2023.
I'll second.
Second, all of those in favor?
Well,
Oh, it's a roll call.
Well, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Comments?
Yes.
I already brought it to Sarah's attention, a quick edit on page 7. It's live, not liver, so.
Yeah.
live-
Oh, good
live
job.
is lead.
Good job.
I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
Not liver with onions.
All right, roll call vote?
Baldwin,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Rio,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Muncy.
Yes.
And Stanton.
Yes. All right, staff reports. We are already, city manager report.
Madam
Anything?
Chair, all set. Thank you.
Okay. Then on to the treasurer's report. Is Peter on?
Peter is on the call and I.
Peter-
I'm sorry, madam.
Yeah, is there any highlights that Peter wants to point out? Otherwise, it's in the packet.
No,
I don't think it's
Not
in the
in the
packet.
packet.
Oh, it's not.
It's my understanding that Peter submitted a supplemental to our clerk and we can get that pushed out to you all.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions for treasurer though?
Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Hi, Peter.
Yes, I'm here.
Peter, is there anything that you'd like to
No,
point out
well, I'm
tonight?
working on the budget. I've met with 3 of the council people and I have 3 more to meet with on Thursday afternoon. So we're moving forward with the budget and we're getting there.
All right, Peter, looking forward to meeting with you.
Okay.
Planning and zoning, Ryan Cummins, any highlights? Any questions from council?
As always, appreciate the very thorough.
Yeah.
It's getting longer and longer. I wanna mute.
You certainly have a lot on your plate.
I also appreciate your reports as well. I've talked about those with many of our constituents here in town, and I appreciate in our packet how you really detail what you're doing with every property. We didn't see that before, and I really appreciate that.
Go
Ryan,
ahead, Russ.
can I?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Ryan, I have a question about 615 Park Street. Could you just quickly let us know? It's kind of an interesting project and process. This is for all of those that don't know that address. Those are 2-story condos. First story was completely flooded during high water. It's been that way for, I don't know how many years, 2, 3 years.
Yeah.
And I noticed there were some FEMA notes and looks like they're going to be rebuilding. So you could just let us know.
Yeah, so kind of a tricky project on a few different layers. I mean, obviously the city participates in the National Flood Insurance Program. And so we have a responsibility to monitor or to make sure that any building or construction within a floodplain is regulated appropriately through the federal guidelines. And so in this case, there was some flooding back in 2019 and 2020. If an existing property is looking to make substantial improvements to their property, in this case, the work is a combination of repairing damage that occurred and adding some helical piers to essentially strengthen the foundation of the structure. It's got some issues with, truth be told, falling towards the water. If you make substantial improvement, the floodplain regulations require that you actually bring the building into compliance with the floodplain regulations, which in this case, the cost of the work that they're proposing exceeds 50% of the market value, which excludes land. You know, we worked on that market value. I've answered a lot of questions with the applicant regarding that. And so in this case, based on the information that we have today, the floodplain requirements would require them to actually elevate the building based on the amount of work that they're proposing. So I met with the applicants last week and their contractor and discussed their questions in more detail. That's the floodplain question. There's some other issues related to zoning with the moratorium that's in place that they kind of got caught up in because of the length of time that the floodplain issues have taken to resolve. But I've discussed with them that there's a waiver option and a hardship option to demonstrate through that process. And so they're aware of what their options are, but a challenging case. But essentially, if you look at the regulation in general, it makes sense in that if you're making substantial improvements to a structure within the city, you would want that to be elevated above the floodplain, because otherwise you're right back in the same boat at some point where there's flooding that would occur again and there's damage that occurs again, and that the cost of that insurance is that much higher. And so there's a reason for the regulations, but it's frustrating if you're trying to work through a project too and trying to balance the cost.
Holly, anything else?
So nobody could hear that.
It's,
What's the comment?
it's possible that then that it may have to be raised. Is that what you're saying? That the floodplain regulations would require that for it to come into proper
If the work is considered,
compliance.
if the work meets the definition of a substantial improvement, which would be the value of the work exceeding 50% of its market value, excluding the land, then yes, yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And Russ, go ahead.
Yeah, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, thank you. So the comment that came from the audience was back in 1986, this property has been a perennial issue for flooding.
Mm.
This is not the first, I don't even know who the owners were back then, if the same owners, whatever the case is, but this has been a perennial issue for that property location. So certainly whatever city can do to encourage that development to get away from those issues. I know it's probably very costly, as you explained, very costly. But it's been a perennial issue. Not the first time they've run into it.
Fair enough.
Any other questions for Ryan?
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, I just want to go back to the treasurer's report. So on the packet, we do have the bills. Is the treasurer looking for a motion to approve the bills?
Well, I don't think we've gotten that far yet, have we?
We're not that far yet.
Here's on the second
Sorry.
page,
Sorry,
page
sorry.
2.
Further down, but thanks, Russ. Next, DPW, Scott, do you have any highlights? Any questions for DPW, Scott? The parks are looking fantastic, Scott. I'll just point out Willow Park looks phenomenal. I know you did some repairs when there was that accident that happened and then also power washed it or whatever, and it looks phenomenal. Since we've been down there, I've never seen it look so good. So thank you. Willow Park looks really fantastic.
The Peterson Reserve sign looks fabulous. You guys did a great job redoing that as well. And everything's looking really good. You guys are doing a great job. Nice to see our seasonal employees back, Mary Hinkle and some of the other folks that we see back. They're doing a great job keeping our town clean.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
also want to thank them for installing the beach cleanup stations and places for the fishing lines to go. They're terrible to be littered in the waterways, and that makes a big difference. I know Douglas has been doing it for a while, and it really does. People just, they'll down there just being a little bit bored, and they'll go and pick up trash and stuff. It's really nice, and people like to help out. It's a nice amenity to have, and I appreciate it.
Nice. All right, on to the Sheriff's Department report. Is there anyone from the Sheriff's Department here?
I don't believe so. I did talk to Captain Ensfield today. He had nothing to report.
All right, then the engineers report. Any highlights? We have them on? No? Okay. Then moving on to boards, commissions, and committees, the Fire District Administration Board, Mr. Dan Fox.
Excuse me, Dan Fox, council representative to the fire board. Just some quick ones. We did have a meeting. Normally, we wouldn't have had a meeting between your last meeting and this one, but we had our budget meeting on the 28th of April, where we reviewed, talked about, discussed, and adopted unanimously the 23-24 budget, which I'm told did arrive in your mailboxes directly since that time, correct?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we got the email.
And with that included in that, but also by personal invitation, I want to ask any and all of you that can make it on 5 PM, a week from today, 5 PM at the fire district, probably downstairs in one of the engine bays. So there's enough, or two of the engine bays. So there's enough space for everyone for a presentation on the budget, which will also include some displays and whatnot that I think you'll find useful and maybe even entertaining. That meeting and those invitations went to you guys by name, also to the township board by name, and to Douglas City Council people. And it is a public meeting and is announced so, or will be announced so. So we don't know how many people in all to expect, but it could be a good number. All of that said, in between now and then, or for that matter, anytime, as I've said before, if you have questions or comments or whatever related to the fire district operations or budget for that matter, feel free to get them either to me, although I'll tell you that's going to take extra time because I'm just going to pass it to somebody who knows the answer, but to Chief Janik or Assistant Chief Mantles at the department, and we'll get that answered for you. And by all means, feel free to raise any question or issue on a week from tonight.
Does anybody have any questions for Dan? I saw in the budget report that you, the fire district is asking for a millage increase. Is that correct? Can you elaborate a little bit?
The fire district budget includes a millage increase. It's within the authorized 10 mills that the fire district has. Don't intend to use 10 mills, God help us, but 2.5. And if you read that through that is primarily funding 3 additional full-time firefighter / EMS, depending, to ensure that we can maintain all day, every day, all year, 2 full-time people in that firehouse ready to respond. It's not only is the human resources market very difficult, very challenging nationally, if you Google it or whatever. But we face additional challenges due to the housing situation in Saugatuck, such that the majority of our people come from farther out, some quite a bit out. And that has to be factored into planning in terms of providing emergency resources in a timely fashion. So that impacts staffing and so forth. They can, believe me, the chief can speak at great length about how important that is. And that's the 2.5 mills.
Okay.
To a total of whatever it is, I forget.
Any other questions for Dan?
No, but I'm looking forward to going to that meeting, and I encourage all of us to attend that meeting.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
one more thing. Councilperson Lewis asked last time about Zoom. I further inquired. We don't have the resources in place to do Zoom. And right now given other challenges, there's not a plan to do that. All the meetings, however, are open. All the meetings are, I believe, recorded. In fact, I know they're recorded. So it's kind of the next best thing. And as I say, generally speaking, we have had, other than, I mean, you've been there to announce this or that or whatever, and appreciate that. But in terms of input and whatever, we haven't had a lot of questions, comments or whatever. And we operate the same way you do on correspondence. Anybody can send a note and ask a question. It'll be officially on the record and the answer will be on the record and so forth. So.
Yeah, well, if I may.
Yeah.
That's a question I'll pose next week at the budget, because what we've learned from the pandemic is how easy it is, and it's very convenient for folks to dial in and listen in. They may not be able to physically come for whatever reason. They may be in another state or in another country, but they can dial in and listen in. So I know that you all have often said that you'd like to have more people at the meetings. I think offering that capability would go a long way to helping you feel that there are more people who actually care about what you're doing, because they do. It's
Well,
just
no,
not
I understand.
timely. It doesn't
It's
fit.
like everything else. It's a question of time, energy, resources and demand and trying to balance those two things. So it's a fair question. Absolutely. I'd be
Okay.
happy to address it.
All right, Dan, thank you. Interurban Board.
Not much, other than our next meeting will be May 16th. We are now open till 7 PM, and I'd like to take this opportunity to let folks know that if you work in town, please take advantage of that and leave these parking places open for our day trippers and our visitors that want to come and spend money here. You can park at many places, including the high school, including parking places in Douglas as well, and take the interurban. Many people that work here do live in the 30-mile radius that interurban covers. So please consider taking the interurban and freeing up parking for folks that can hang out in our town and spend money. Again, we're open till 7 PM every night right now. Those hours will broaden when we get into summer, and I'll make sure that we're updated with that.
All right, Gregory, thank you. Cal Lake Sewer and Water Authority, is Barry here?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Harbor Authority, we haven't met since the last city council meeting, but we are set to meet, I believe, May 16th. So I should have an update after the next meeting. Zoning Board of Appeals. Nobody. Historic District Commission.
Yeah, we met last Thursday. It was a very good meeting. All of it is described in detail in RC's report. It's probably the longest meeting that I've ever sat through on the Historic District Commission because we hadn't had a quorum for the April meeting. So we managed to get through quite a bit in 2 hours. I thought it was a good meeting. So all that information is in Ryan's packet.
Okay. Planning Commission.
Yeah, thank you. We meet on the 18th of May and we'll probably have a couple of applications. And our main focus, though, will be discussing the waterfront development moratorium and study around that. So I expect we'll be getting into that in depth.
Parks and Public Works Committee.
Nothing new to report. We meet on the 24th.
Okay. And Tri-Community Non-Motorized Trail Study Committee.
We are just waiting for our revised intergovernmental agreement and circulate and working with all of the stakeholders. Almost said shakeholders.
Leslie, I can assist if you'd like. We're waiting for the township to sign on to the phase 2 contract that the city engaged with. And then also for them to sign on to the intergovernmental agreement. Likewise, we're waiting for the city village of Douglas to do the same. And then we'll have a kickoff meeting with our engineers, and then we'll be off and running with our construction design phase 2 for the Blue Star Trail multimodal path. And just as a reminder, we're looking at a construction date in the year 2025.
Nice.
Okay.
Cool.
That's right. And this is the second time that we've done an intergovernmental agreement. This is just for phase 2.
Okay.
Since we've received the grants.
One other item, the Friends of the Blue Star Trail, who have been very generous with their both their financial resources and their knowledge, are starting to, they're not leaving us, but they're starting to focus their attention on the connectivity from city village of Douglas down to South Haven. So they're moving on with their time and effort. But they're going to make sure that they stick with us as we get through our phase 2 engineer design, construction design.
Right.
Sign of success, I think.
Absolutely. All right. Recycling.
Yeah, really quickly, we have a grant due on the 12th. It's with Eagle for electronics recycling. It's been drafted and a couple of folks have their hands on it right now to edit and review, but we'll be eligible for up to $15,000 to provide no fewer than 2 events where we have electronics recycling. In the previous 2 household hazardous waste days that we've done, the first one we collected enough electronics was about $4,500. And then last year it was about half as much. So we're asking for $5,000 for each one of those events. And it's an easy grant for us to pursue because we've already had 2 very successful household hazardous waste days. So it'll basically supplement what we're asking for. So when I do come to the municipalities and other entities asking for financial support, should we get it, that means I don't have to ask for nearly as much. from each municipality. So it's a good grant to pursue. It's an easy one, easy pickings.
Good. Any questions? Okay. We are at approval of accounts payable. Do I have a motion?
And Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve accounts payable in the amount of $168,447.21.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second and a roll call.
Baldwin,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Muncy.
Yes.
And Stanton.
Yes. We're on to number 13, introduction of ordinances. We don't have any at this time, no public hearings, no unfinished business, which brings us to new business. And up next is Wicks Park revocable license. That's on page 33 of your packet. Do I have Ryan Cummins up to speak on this?
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and City Council members, you discussed this last week at your work session. Ms. Pierce kind of explained where we're at this evening, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have after maybe a motion is put on the table.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the revocable license agreement for temporary restaurant seating within and on the sidewalk for Wicks Parks Bar and Grill, WBPG LLC.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Baldwin, second by Muncy. Any discussion?
Yeah, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, just, so the discussion around the Mary Street, I know that's a challenge because there's not a lot of space there, so can you give us kind of an understanding of where that is in terms of making that fit?
So, Ms. Pierce and I discussed that, yes, it is tight over there. Took some measurements. I mean, the sidewalk along Mary Street there is pretty much right at, it's actually slightly under 5 feet, but right at 5 feet. So really, there's not much room to really use any of that. So there's kind of a mulch space that has some room. We discussed that perhaps you can move the picnic tables a little bit. Right now where she's planning on having them set is about 1.5 feet from the face of the curb. And certainly most vehicles don't pull up like right against the curb, although some may. So we discussed that, egress from vehicles is important. And that should city council choose to approve this evening, that we would have to kind of see how things go this summer. And address any issues that arise. And we have discussed at length that, that this fall when we this summer, that we're going to work with the city attorney to make sure that our rules are aligning. That when it came time for zoning approval, that there's some things that would be looked at, such as egress from vehicles is something that would be looked at as part of the zoning approval. There's also some issues that would need to be addressed as far as the mulch that it's on isn't like a solid surface that the zoning would actually require. So those are some things that, we're going to have to address if she were to want to continue to use the Mary Street side of things.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm gonna support the motion, but I also support the fact that we have further discussion about how to maybe make that work better, because if you walk down there, it's tight. Yeah, there's. So at this point, I will support the motion, but encourage us to have a continued discussion on how to make that work better.
Correct. If I could say, it's the same setup as last year and no issues last year. So I don't have a problem with passing this.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
Any other comment?
I would just say that I think Christine does an excellent job, and she has since the pandemic of really maximizing her outdoor space. It always looks fun and inviting, and I think it's a great asset to the community, and how she also works with the other restaurateurs and helping us message, and I'm in full support.
And I'll just say a few words. I feel like there's oftentimes quite a long wait at many of the restaurants in our community, and our visitors are starving. And so the more outdoor seating we can have, the better. And I know that a lot of people feel that way in the community, like, thank goodness there's extra seating, because there are so many visitors in town. We're busy, so busy. And so it's nice to see that extra seating and whatever we can do to make it work. And I know we'll do some things in the future, but we've had those tables there for a long time, several years, I know.
Yeah.
So I think it works very well for our visitors and our locals who are looking for places to eat in the summertime. So
Yeah.
any other discussion?
No, I just want
it's-
to, oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Gregory, I fully support his question because that was the obvious one. We're talking about a situation that's been there for several years now. It's not a problem. We'll be able to in November address it, like you've said, per our conversation at the workshop on last week. So I think for the time being, I feel confident that we're good to go.
Okay, so this is a voice vote. So all those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we're on to the Book Nook revocable license. That's on page 44 of your packet.
Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make the motion as I'm digging here for the sample.
Page 44.
I got it. To approve the revocable license agreement for a sign in the public right of way for the Book Nook of Saugatuck LLC. I'd
Second.
also- oh, I'm
Sorry.
I just wanted to add that, not to the motion, but just add a comment that it's just shopkeeping. It's the same kind of sign that folks have down the street as well. They just want an overhanging sign to say the Book Nook, and it's very well appropriated, so.
Any other discussion?
Exactly why I would second the motion. I think it's actually a pretty sign.
Yeah.
Plenty of room for you to clear unless you're in the NBA, I suppose, and I don't see a problem with this.
All right, so I have a motion by Muncy and a second by Baldwin. And this is a voice vote as well. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, City of Saugatuck special events. Let's go to page 48 in your packet.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
happy to address this one. If you'd like.
Yes. I
Okay,
would.
great. So when we left the workshop on Wednesday, I was tasked with planning an event for the 4th of July. Fireworks, laser, oh, if Scott was here, laser, extravaganza, puppet show.
Music.
So I'm normally not in the event planning business. However, I've taken this opportunity to get creative and work hard at this. And so in doing so, you learn how many details are involved with the event planning. And so just for a flavor of this, you have to lock in the vendors. So I've talked to both. So I have two potential fireworks vendor. One for sure can fire off a barge. There's one that I'm checking on from the one that we traditionally used. I got a call from Mike Johnson that said they could be back in the game. I said, well, that would have been great to know about 4 weeks ago, but okay. Good to know that they're willing to assist if needed. Checked in with the laser vendor because if you recall, we had a discussion about tiptoeing into doing lasers. And so locked in the laser vendor. And then in discussion with the laser vendor, we talked about the logistics of the number of people that are going to be in the downtown area. It's different than the Venetian Festival where everyone's going to be in one area so the laser show is more in sync with the music and just kind of one space. So in discussions with the laser vendor, he said that he could be placed on a barge as well as the fireworks vendor, just kind of spaced out, and they could actually shoot the lasers through the smoke of the fireworks.
Oh.
Right. So yeah, you gave me a task, and so I'm really running with it. And then because there's fireworks and lasers going off, then there's an opportunity to have music through a DJ at the same time with a nice stereo system. And so I have a DJ that's able to assist with this as well. And so I've talked to I've got vendors, the barges, those would come through Mr. Steve King. I think he's the cousin of Randy King. I think he traditionally provides barges at a small fee. Trying to work on getting some donations with that. Permitting, so Coast Guard, the DNR, and also emergency services. So both Water Patrol, the Sheriff's Department, Fire Department. I've notified them that we are indeed going to do something with the fireworks. So we need a loading zone for the fireworks, which is traditionally Douglas. I've reached out to Douglas to say, hey, we're still in the game. And by the way, how much money you guys gonna give us? And so, that gets me to donations and then also sponsor recognition, because if sponsors are throwing money, they want a little acknowledgement. So working on all of that. Speaking of donations, traditionally, and the person I've spoke with said they can get around $25,000 in private donations. Then this Mike Johnson, so he knows a number of people and he's here to support. I'm gonna ask for $10,000 from the CVB. I've been told that I'll be lucky if I get 5, but that's okay. I'm gonna ask for $10,000. I'm also gonna ask for $4,000 from the township, which I think they provided 4,000 last year to the Rotary. However, I was informed by the township manager that it's a tall ask, given the fact that they were a little hesitant last year just because of the fireworks dynamic. They just weren't super supportive of the loud, like some of the discussions that you all had with the environmental issues with fireworks and the loud noise. So they're like, well, we're not, Daniel DeFranco said, make the ask. They may be a little hesitant, but make the ask. So I'm going to, but maybe they'll be in favor of the laser portion of it, right? And then 2,000, I think Douglas does 1,000 in previous years. I'm gonna ask for more and see what they come up with. And so really to move this along, what I would like from the council is an appropriation of $10,000. I'll try to minimize that if I can't get the donations. I would also like permission to sign contracts with these vendors that would be signed off by the mayor, so that we can lock them in. Everyone's, they want a contract signed post haste, so would appreciate that. So the motion, recommended motion would be something along the lines of allowing the city manager to engage with contractors for fireworks, lasers, and music, having the mayor execute contracts and provide an allowance of $10,000 for the celebration.
Do I have anyone who has written that down who can attempt this motion for me?
Yeah.
I bet Garnet has.
Yeah, so it's a different order, but I think it'll work.
Okay.
I move to appropriate up to $10,000 and to allow the manager to sign the appropriate contracts and negotiate with the appropriate vendors.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, so a motion by Lewis, second by Baldwin. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I just want to thank Ryan and his side hustle as an event planner. You really, you worked some magic there and I appreciate it. I think that it incorporates, you came asking us to do fireworks or lasers and we asked for both. And then we have music on top of it. And I think that you did a good job in also in securing some private donations and some public donations as well. And I just want to voice that I'm excited for it. I've seen what the lasers are going to look like, and it's going to be really cool. So I'm grateful, and I just want to acknowledge that we put a lot on our city staff, and it's easy just to hand things off. And I know that it's a heavy lift. Just working with 15 people on the Venetian is crazy amount of time, and you pulled this out in a matter of days, and I appreciate it. That's it.
Mayor, if I may, I appreciate the compromise.
Mhm.
Exactly. We talked about, oh, well, we don't want fireworks and we just want this, but this is something where everybody's getting a little something they like. We've got fireworks, we've got a laser show, we've got music. So I think this is a great way to kind of maybe ease into a different kind of celebration.
I agree.
So. I
Very
appreciate
nice.
it.
Any
Yeah.
other comments?
Yeah, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I just want to thank City Manager, yeoman's job. Thank you very much. I had a conversation with Mike too after the meeting, and Mike has always stepped up. So, he's always there. He said, look, just tell me what you need. He's got other people in his, I'm sure he's told you, other people in his circle that would be more than willing to commit. So I just want to acknowledge Mike Johnson's continued support financially and every which way to this community. It's been that way ever since I've known Mike. What is the plan spend for both? And I'm excited about this combination too, because the other conversation that I had with several people about this was this mental, no fireworks? What do you mean no fireworks? And I think the people that I've talked with have said, I can adjust to no fireworks, but that's something we have to kind of think about over time because many people are seeing, I think what we're experiencing is a lack of vendors. Some of the issues have been brought up regarding noise, environmental concerns. And I think, I'm not going to say this, but others are saying fireworks are probably going to be a thing of the past at some point. So I think for Saugatuck to start to explore ways in which to, thoughtfully move away from that, to continue to have the event is important. So I thank you for your, thoughtfulness on that. So back to my question, what is the plan spend on this?
So the breakdown would be approximately 15,000 for fireworks. Lasers would be, the Venetian Festival's at, I think, 20 for your contract. So I'm trying to negotiate some economies of scale. If you get two events, is there a price break?
Same vendor too.
Same vendor, yeah. So hopefully south of 20 and hopefully the Venetian gets a break too. The vendors seem very excited. Approximately 4,000 for the music. However, I have to figure out the sound logistics yet. So we'll say 5,000 approximately. So that's the general breakdown,
Yeah,
like around 15 for fireworks, around 20 for lasers, around 5 for music.
30.
So I've got
And
40,000.
then, and then hopefully a lot of donations coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, as a council member, I'm willing to assist on that front as well and.
Great,
And be happy to, have conversations where we need to.
get that money,
make-
sir.
Make this happen. Back to the music, this is something that I've experienced in other communities. Maybe this is a thought for the future is that they can simulcast the music through a local station. This might be a good opportunity for
Mhm.
8.7. That you just simply tune in your radio or and you can
Nice.
just simply get it that way. And it's coordinated with the displays. So I know Chicago does that. We're not Chicago, but there's other communities that do the same thing. So just
Okay,
a
I'll
thought.
talk to,
And to help you sweeten the deal with any sponsors, we will certainly give lots of shout outs on 92.7 The Van. So you can tell them that, part of whatever you're going to give them, any kind of exposure, we'll definitely have them on our classic rock station here at 92.7.
okay.
And Madam Mayor, if I'm,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may, Ryan, I also know that, I don't know how far you've pursued this with the lasers. They have the capability of thanking the sponsors with the lasers, right?
Oh, yes.
There's logos and stuff at the end, brought to you by, they get into that too.
Yeah, well, might be difficult in the smoke on the screen that the Venetian's talking about. I think that's what.
That's true.
Yeah, because part of our conversation, we'll try it. Let's see if they can get a little something in the smoke. I don't think so. But one of the workshop conversations was about the radar dome itself and getting lasers on
Too
that.
far, right?
Too far,
Yeah.
and not just logistically,
Yeah.
it's too complicated. So they're really excited about this idea of being in the water with
Mhm.
their lasers, shooting the lasers through the smoke.
Awesome.
So
Cool.
I don't know, I just come get
They're
excited.
excited.
Yeah.
That's
It's like a
cool.
concert.
Are there any other comments?
I just want to commend Ryan for absolutely pulling a magical rabbit out of his hat with us. I mean, this is to be May in Saugatuck and we don't have a fireworks vendor is a bit terrifying and I'm so impressed. Well done.
Well, thanks for that. And then I'll just mention that I met a gentleman who visited Saugatuck looking to scout the film Tulips in Holland or whatever that.
Michigan.
Holland, Michigan, right? And I spent a couple days with this gentleman. His name's Eric. But he's in production. So not only does he do film production, he also is knowledgeable about music production. And we're just having a conversation and he was like, I got a fireworks guy. And I'm like, what? You got a fireworks guy? And he's like, I got a DJ. I'm like, you got a DJ? So anyways, he's been assisting and he's been great. And then also he's reaching out to other potential donors like Consumers Energy and other connections that he has from the east side of the state. So that's been a good networking and lovely relationship. So I think we're going to have a good party.
And that's where
Fantastic.
your networking pays off for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Sarah, is this a roll call?
It's a
Money.
roll, yeah.
Roll call vote?
Baldwin,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Muncy.
Yes.
And Stanton.
Yes. All right, motion passes. That's exciting. This is really exciting. And I know, you're making lemonade out of lemons, whatever, but it's working. It's
Let's
working.
hope
I think
so. Yeah.
it's really going in the right direction, I think, and I think everybody's pretty excited about it. So thanks for all your hard work on that during the workshop and,
Mhm.
especially everything that you've been doing behind the scenes. So that leads us to the special event application, the SEA Market. It's on page 51 of your packet.
Mayor,
Yes,
I'd like to
Gregory.
make a motion to approve the market at SCA hosted by Saugatuck Center for the Arts with the dates of 6/9/23 and 8/4/23. Those are additional dates that they added.
Second.
All right, motion by Muncy, second by Baldwin. Do we have any discussion? No discussion. I assume you talked about this at length at the workshop. This is a voice vote. All those in favor say yes.
Yeah.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we're on to the special event application, Music in the Park. This is on page 62 of your packet.
And Mayor, I'd
Yeah.
like to have the pleasure of something that I used to do for many years. To approve the 2023 Music in the Park series starting on June 21st, organized by Saugatuck Douglas Area Business Association. So glad to hear that they're still doing that.
Second.
All right, motion by Muncy, second by
Leo.
Leo. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. We are on to special event application for the Town Crier Race. This is on page 69.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
motion to approve the Town Crier Race event to take place on June 17th, 2023, organized by Town Crier Races, contingent on safety meeting with staff, police, and fire departments.
Second.
All right, motion by Lewis, second by Leo. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say yes.
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 Those opposed? All right, motion carries. And now we are on to public comment on anything that you would like to talk about tonight. Anybody in the audience? If you could state your name, where you're from. No takers tonight. Anybody on Zoom that would like to speak about non-agenda items? Nobody's on Zoom tonight. Sarah, you see anybody? Okay. We did have correspondence from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It's on page 78 of your packet. And it leads us to council comments. Ms. Baldwin, would you like to start?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gregory.
Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday, and Back to the Fuchsia is going to have a new market that where we, CJ Badgerak, he's on our planning commission, and I myself built a new, vegetable and fruit stand that you'll be seeing, and we'll have flowers, and I'll be there at the Back to the Fuchsia all week long. So I would like to give Jean a plug and everybody there, and that's working hard for us to make our moms happy. And don't forget Mom on Sunday.
Thank you, Gregory. Holly?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Russ?
Yeah, two questions. We do have a budget meeting date. Has that been set yet?
Has not.
Okay. So just
Mhm.
ask that question. Two is that I had a constituent call me and said, who the heck's on city council? And I said, really? It is on city council? And the reason why she called me was because she tried to find it on the website. And so if you've tried to look up city council on the website, you can find it, but it's not easy. I would like to suggest that we do the website in such a way that the city council is front and center. So there's some type of very clear place to say city council, you can get our contact information. Not that we need to promote ourselves necessarily, but it's nice to have a little bio. A lot of cities do this, right? A little bio about who we are. Just make it easier for constituents to find us on the website. And it's not easy. So I can totally understand where she was coming on. She finally found the information. But anyway, just I think an improvement we can make for our citizens.
Okay,
Thank you.
Garn?
Nothing.
Nothing at this time? All right, and I don't have anything at this time as well. I thank you all for doing this quickly because I know staff has been here with the fumes. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?